Before heading to the video, if you haven't subscribed the channel, do subscribe it and don't forget to click the bell icon for the latest update notification. If you like the video, do like, comment and share. Stay tuned with learnway.co. Happy learning!
This. Okay. So let's start. So first thing is random variables. A random variable x takes on a defined set of values with different probabilities. We have already discussed random variable. Random variable is basically a variable which can take any value at a given point of time. So for example, if you will roll a die, the outcome is random. So if you will throw a dice, then there will be a 6 possible values. Any of the value will be coming at a particular point of time, and probability for each of the value coming is 1 by 6. So that is the probability for dice. Another thing is, if you poll people about their voting preferences, the percentage of the sample that that responds yes on proposition of 100 is also a random variable. Why it is a random variable? Because see, multiple times you will just ask to 100 people, you will do the sampling, and every time this result will vary. Sometimes it will come 50, sometimes 52, 53. So again, a random variable, not a fixed variable. So roughly, probability is how frequently we expect different outcomes to occur if we repeat the experiment over and over again. So we'll see what is frequentist view. So probability is nothing but how frequently.
Uttarakhand, I'm so sorry. Can you just repeat the last sentence, what you told me?
Last sentence, which one?
Probability is just a...
No, I'm reading the slide only.
Oh, okay, fine. Sorry, I was just concentrating on you, not the slide. Thank you.
So probability is how frequently we expect different outcomes to occur if we repeat the experiments over and over again. So basically it means, so for example, probability is basically how many times you are repeating the experiment and what are the outcomes. So experiment is, for example, suppose I'm throwing 4 coins. Okay, so when I'm throwing 4 coins, then what is the probability that heads will come? What is the probability of head coming? So all those things are called as experiments. When you toss a coin, it is an experiment, and when the event occur is called as the probabilistic event. So we'll see in next slides how to calculate and how to do that. So 2 type of random variables are there: discrete variables and continuous variable. We have already discussed in detail about these 2 things. Discrete variables are the countable variables which have countable outcomes. For example, dead or alive, treatment or placebo, dice counts, etc. all comes into the your discrete random variables. Continuous random variables have an infinite continuum of possible values. So continuous values are basically the values which can take any values from minus infinity to plus infinity. Example: blood pressure, weight, speed of car, real numbers from 1 to 6. So example of discrete and continuous, which we have already discussed. So a probability function maps the possible values of x against their respective probability of occurrence. So p of x is a number from 0 to 1. So probability will always be lying between 0 to 1. The area under the probability function will be always 1. So what it is saying, basically, for example, if I want to calculate the probability for a dice, for example, so dice is having how many outcomes? 6 outcomes. Okay, so if I will throw a dice, then random variable x can have these many values: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And what is the probability of each value coming is 1 by 6, 1 by 6, 1 by 6, 1 by 6, 1 by 6 and 1 by 6. So each value will be having the probability of 1 by 6. When you will add all these values, finally you will get output as 1. So that is the fundamental rule of probability. Then when you will add all the probabilities, then finally you will get 1 as a final output. Okay, so that is what this particular theory is saying. So
Yes. Sorry, once again. Hello.
yes,
The things you written right, it is 1 by 6, all 1 by 6 or 2 by 6, 3 by 6. Like that.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so out of 6 values, how many times 3 can occur? Only 1 time when you will throw a dice. So 1 by 6.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, so So basically this is the graphical representation. So for each of the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probability is 1 by 6. So you are seeing the graph as equal bars because all the points are having the equal probability. When you will be adding these numbers, final probability you will get 1. So now representation of that particular function is known as probability mass function. So probability mass function is nothing when you represent the probability of each and every outcome possible for a particular entity is called as probability mass function. So for example, x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are the events, and probability of x is equal to 1 happening is 1 by 6. X is equal to 2 happening 1 by 6, x is equal to 3 happening is 1 by 6. So each of the particular value is having the probability of 1 by 6.
This will be true for only discrete values, right?
Yes, it is true for discrete values only.
Utkarsh, can you repeat the definition once again for this mass function?
Probability mass function is basically when you are explaining all the possible probabilities for the available values of an entity. So for example, dice are having how many events possible? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for all 6 events you are telling the probability, that is called as probability mass function.
Okay.
Probability mass function is for only discrete values.
Yes.
Probability mass function cannot be for continuous.
Yes. Okay. So cumulative frequency distribution. So cumulative is nothing but cumulative is basically when you are adding the previous result into the next one. So 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6, 1 by 3. 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6, 1 by 2. 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3 is 2 by 3. 2 by 3 plus 1 by 2 is 5 by 6, and 5 by 6 plus 2 by 3 is 1. So basically cumulative distribution is basically when you are keep on adding the previous value into the next one. So for example, if you are having these number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically 1 plus 2, 3 plus 2, 5. So like this, when you are keep on adding the numbers into the previous number is called as cumulative. So we have cumulative, we have probability mass function. So now I'll just show you one practice problem. The number of patients seen in the emergency room in any given hour is a random variable represented by x. The probability distribution of x is given. X is equal to 10. That means 10 patients will arrive. Probability is 40%. 11 patients are arriving, 20% probability. Then find the probability that in a given hour, exactly 14 patients arrive. So you have to remember these 3 keywords: exactly, at least, and at most. So exactly 14 patients arrive means Px is equal to 14. Exactly 14 patients should arrive. So in the table, when exactly 14 patients will arrive, the probability is 10%. So output answer is simply 10%. So at least 12 patients will arrive. So at least means at least 12 patients should come. Now more than 12 can also come, but at least minimum 12 should occur. So now it will come as probability of x greater than equal to 12. So 12, 13 and 14, 0.2 plus 0.1 plus 0.1, 40% is the probability that at least 12 patients will arrive at any given particular point of time. At most 11 patients will arrive. At most is basically not more than that. So at 11, up to 11 patients can come, but not more than 11 can come. So less than 11 is possible, not more than. So it will be Px is less than equal to 11, 0.4 plus 0.2, 60% is the probability that at most 11 patients will arrive. So these 3 keywords you have to always remember: exactly, at least, and at most. So this problem, did you get it? How we are solving it is easy.
Now, this 0.4, 0.2, all those are like just an example numbers, or that's been calculated? How did we arrive to that number?
That has been given to you.
Oh, it's just a problem.
So probability. So that is what they have observed into their hospital.
Okay.
That any given hour, 10 patients are arriving, that is 40% chances. So they have entry into the registers and they have calculated these probabilities from there.
Okay.
Okay. Previous probabilities will be always given to you in case of data, and sometimes there is a true nature of universe. So for example, true nature of universe is, for example, tossing a coin. So what is the probability of head coming when you will toss a coin?
1.
50%.
50%. So 1 by 2. Okay, 50% is the probability that head will come or tail will come. So that is a true nature of universe. Dice. What is the probability when you will throw a dice? 4 will come. 1 by 6, right? True nature of universe. So what is the probability that when drawing a king out of a deck of card will always be 4 by 52, right?
Yeah,
Right? 4 by
correct.
52, right? If somebody doesn't know deck of cards, then go and search on Google what is deck of card, what all cards are available. So that's how things happen. So definitions: probability is the chance that an uncertain event will occur, or is always between 0 and 1. Event is basically each possible type of occurrence or outcome. So suppose event is nothing, but when I've thrown a dice, suppose 3 came, so this is an event. Okay, again I have thrown a dice, 6 came, this is an event. So event is basically each possible type of occurrence or outcome. Suppose I have withdrawn a card from a deck of card, and your this queen came, so this is an event. So one event occurred. So now two types of events are there: simple event and non-simple event. So a simple event is the event that can be described by a single characteristic. So single characteristic is, for example, simply if I'll say, so from a deck of card, so you have deck of card, basically 52 cards are there. So you have withdrawn single card out of it. So this card is, suppose I want to withdraw probability of king. So I want to withdraw king. So what will be the probability? 4 by 52. So when I will withdraw a card and it is a king card, so this is called a simple event. Okay, one characteristic, it should be king. Now suppose if I want to withdraw a king and it should be hearts, a king of heart I want to withdraw, then it is a non-simple event. Okay, because here now two characteristics are associated. I want to withdraw a king, but that king should belong from the heart. So that is a non-simple event. So two types of events are there: simple event and non-simple event. Now sample space, the collection of all possible events. So sample space is simply, I'll explain you what is the sample space. So when you will throw a dice, how many events are possible? 6. What are those events? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is called as sample space. Okay. So what is the sample space for a coin?
2.
Head and tail.
Yes, not 2, head and tail. What is the sample space for deck of cards?
52.
So 52. So it will be having 52 values coming. Okay, red heart and all 52 cards you have to mention unique cards. Okay, so that is called a sample space. All the collection of all possible events represents the sample space. Okay, so these are the basic definitions you have to remember. So now three types of probabilities are available into the industry. So different researchers are believing onto the different kind of approaches. One is a priori classical probability, second one is empirical classical probability, and third one is subjective probability. So a priori classical probability is the probability basically based on the event on prior knowledge of the process involved. Empirical is the probability of an event is based on observed data. So in machine learning, we used empirical probability. So empirical probability is nothing but there is a data given to you. On the basis of data, like how we have taken that 40% is the probability that 10 patients will arrive, 30 patients will arrive. So all those are comes under empirical probability. A priori classical probability, we will see the example where prior knowledge of the process involved. And subjective probability is basically depends on a person's past experience or personal opinion. For example, if I'll ask somebody, tell me what is the probability that there will be a what do you think that if I'll go on a Wednesday from Outer Ring Road in Bengaluru, there will be a traffic or not? So what will happen? You will tell me, okay, there is a 95% chance or 100% chance that there will be a traffic when you will go on a weekday on this particular road. So how you are able to tell? This is the agent's belief. Agent's belief is nothing but basically your personal opinion. Agent's belief means you are traveling from this path, and on the basis of your personal experience, you are telling the probability. So subjective probability is also available into the industry, okay, which comes from the experience. So we will see each and every probability. One example we will see, same formulas for all of these probability methods. So for example, find the probability of selecting a face card, jack, queen or king from a standard deck of 52 cards. So this is an example of a priori classical probability. So basically here we already know the process. So we already know the process means we know the process deck of card. We understand what is deck of card, how to play deck of card. We know each and everything about deck of card. So this kind of problems will come into the a priori classical probability problems where probabilities are already known to you. So what will be the probability of selecting a face card out of a deck card?
12 by 52.
Yeah.
How much?
12 by 52.
12 by 52, correct. 12 by 52 will be the probability for selecting a face card out of a. So now here what happens, I don't have to give you the probability values. You already know. Guys, when you are not asking any question, please mute your earphones because lot of noise comes. Okay. Okay, so 12 by 52 is the probability for selecting a face card. So here basically I don't have to give you the probability values because you already know the probability values from the past process knowledge. Okay, so this comes under a priori classical probability. Now example of empirical probability.
Utkarsh, 1 minute. So you said 12 by 52, that's fine, but how it is 3 by 13?
Okay,
So that is like divided by 4
yes.
and
Yes. So 4 3s are 12, 4 13, 4 13 is 15. So that's how we have calculated. It is division, simple division.
okay.
Utkarsh, Rahul here. I just want to know, like, what is the difference between this priori classical and subjective probability?
Subjective is based on somebody's experience, right? And priori depends on somebody's process knowledge.
Process knowledge. Okay.
So subjective is, I told you, if I'll ask you what will be the chances that there will be a traffic on a weekday, you will say yes, outer ring road there will be a traffic. But here there is nothing like process or something available. It is just your belief. It is just belief of the agent, belief of a person. Okay, from his experience. And priori classical probability is basically based on the process understanding. You understand what is the probabilities of coins. You know what are the probabilities associated with deck of cards. You know what are the probabilities are associated with dice. So already process you know. Okay. Now empirical is basically where you have to take the probabilities from the data. So basically find the probability of selecting a male taking statistics from the population described in the following table. Can you find it out? See, this will not come into a priori because there is no process involved in this thing. There you have to have some values available for probability purpose. So here data will be required. So past data will be given to you for calculating probability in empirical case. So what will be the probability of selecting a male taking statistics?
229.
84 divided by 439.
Okay, 84 divided by 439. Number of males taking statistics 84. Total number of people 439. Simple. Directly you can take it from data. So here always what happens in case of empirical, data has to be given if you want to calculate probabilities. But in a priori, all the numericals which falls under some particular defined process will be under this particular section. Okay, agents belief is just basically you cannot define any numerical on agents belief because it is our own belief. Okay, so for example, what is the probability that Utkarsh will be taking the class tomorrow? So as per your belief, you will say, okay, from last 2 weeks we are seeing that he is not dropping off any class and he is continuing with every class. Every Wednesday he has taken the class, so probably he will take tomorrow also. That is an agent's belief. Okay, so there is no process involved because I generally doesn't take weekday batches continuously. I take in a year or 2 year I take only once. So that is what comes under agent's belief. Okay. Okay, any questions? Okay.
Utkarsh, like,
Yes,
can't the Age and belief, can't it be based on statistical also, like based on some analysis also?
Then it will become empirical or a priori.
Okay, so if it gets into that, it becomes the other two. Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so sample space, we have already discussed. Sample space is the collection of all possible events. For example, all 6 faces of a die, all 52 cards in a deck of cards, all possible outcomes when having a child, boy or girl. Okay, so these are the sample space we have discussed. Now, events in sample space, simple event, an outcome from a sample space with one characteristic, for example, a red card from a deck of card, complement of an event A, all outcomes that are not part of event A. So all cards that are not diamonds. So for example, if for complement of A is nothing, but if I'm writing that I want to find out complement of diamonds, so what will happen in this case? All the cards it will give you which are not diamonds. Okay, complement, opposite of what is given into the condition. Joint event involves 2 or more characteristics simultaneously. An ace that is also red from a deck of card. So it is a ace and it is also a red card. So basically joint events also called as non-simple event, which we have discussed. Okay, so we will see for all these things numericals into the upcoming slides. So okay, so basically this type of table is called as contingency table. So contingency table is basically which contains all the data about your numerical. Okay, so basically contingency table is representing this kind of thing. So suppose if I want to find out, okay, ace and not ace, so you have 2 aces in 2 black aces, 2 red aces, 24 cards, and 24 cards are non-ace cards. So you have 26 black cards, 26 red cards, and total number of cards are 52. Similarly, total number of ace 4, not ace 48. So that is how and sum for this and this particular value will always come as 52. So basically this is called as contingency table. So your probability problems you can solve either directly, you can solve via the contingency table building, or you can solve via the tree diagrams also. So suppose full deck of cards, so I want to identify what is the probability of selecting a ace which is red ace. So what will be the probability of selecting a red ace from a deck of cards?
1 by 26.
1 by 26 or 2 by 52. Both are correct answers. So now what happens? One way is you can directly calculate without contingency table. Okay, because of the a priori algorithm. You know the process. Another way is you can create this kind of contingency table and then you can calculate. Third method is tree diagram. Tree diagram, full deck of cards, divide into black cards, red cards, then divide black cards into ace, not ace, 224, 224, and then also by splitting from the tree diagram way also you can calculate. But we are having the codes available for everything, so you don't have to worry about this, but you should know the procedures. Okay, mostly we will not be using contingency tables and tree diagrams. These are older methods. We will just try to do via the formulas. Okay. So another definitions, see lot of definitions will come today in probability. So simple probability refers to the probability of a simple event. So for example, probability of a king. So simple event, that is called a simple probability. And for non-simple event or for joint event, the probability will be referred as joint probability. For example, I want to withdraw a card which is king as well as spade. Okay, from the deck of cards. So it should be from both of these spaces. Otherwise, otherwise my condition will be always wrong. Okay, so there are 2 things here. Remember this particular funda. So are you aware about this thing? So probability of king and spade. Probability of king or spade. So do you know the difference between these two?
Yeah.
Yes.
What does it says?
It's, the first one says king with the spade, the symbol spade. The second one says either you get a king or a spade.
So in both the cases, my condition will be true in OR condition. So and OR cases are there, which we will discuss again when we will go into the numerical. So these two types of probabilities are available. So and sign is represented by the joint probabilities, and again this is comes under OR case will come under that your simple probabilities. Now this is the most important definition which you have to understand. Sometimes they ask into interview. Just switch off your earphones if you are not speaking, mute it. So mutually exclusive events and collectively exhaustive events. So a mutually exclusive events are the events that cannot occur together. For example, event A is Queen of Diamonds. So event A is you have to withdraw a Queen of Diamonds. Event B is you have to withdraw a Queen of Clubs. Event A and B are mutually exclusive if only one card is selected. So what it is saying, if you are only withdrawing one card, then is it possible then that both the events can occur, A and B?
No, either of one.
Either of one will occur. Okay. Another example is B is having a boy, G is having a girl. Event B and G are mutually exclusive if only one child is born. So if one child is born, there is no possibility that both the events will occur. So these kind of events are called as mutually exclusive events. Okay. Now, another type of events are collectively exhaustive events. So definition for collectively exhaustive events is one of the event must occur. Second one is the set of event cover the entire sample space. Remember, one of the event must occur, the set of events covers the entire sample space. So example is event A is aces. So I have to withdraw a card which has been aces. B is equal to black card, C is equal to diamonds, and D is equal to hearts. Now event A, B, C and D are collectively exhaustive. Event B, C and D are collectively exhaustive and also mutually exclusive. Can you explain me these two events now? So how event A, B, C, D are collectively exhaustive but not mutually exclusive? Can you relate it with the definition of collectively exhaustive event, and can you think and can you tell me?
A, B, and C and D can occur simultaneously, so they are mutually exclusive. Not mutually exclusive.
So if I withdraw a card, okay, so is it possible that this particular card is a ace, also it is a black card, also it is a diamond, and also it is a heart?
No, that's not possible.
No, that's not
So
possible.
definition you have to read. Definition says one of the event must occur. Now more than one can also occur, but at least one of the event must occur. Read the definition and then map it to this point and try to understand and tell me.
See, B, C, and D are collectively exhausted because we, in a deck of card, we can have a black card. No, I'm sorry.
You are kind of going into right direction. But yes, tell me.
Okay, black card which can be a diamond or a heart.
Black card which can be a diamond or a heart. So diamond
Spade
is already
or a club.
occurring.
B can be spade or club. So B, C, D is the completely exhaustive event because they make up 52 cards.
No, first you explain me this. Event A, B, C, D are collectively exhaustive but not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, when we say that collectively exhaustive, one of the event must occur.
Okay.
So in A, B, C, and D, I can have ace, which can more than one event, right? I can have an ace of a black card, and it can be a diamond or a heart. So more than one event occurs over there.
So what will happen? What I'm saying, first definition is one of the events must occur. So when I will be withdrawing a card, there is a possibility that it might be an ace. So 4 cards has been covered. Now B is equal to black cards. So it probably be a black card. So then my remaining 26 has been covered. Now it can be a diamond. So now my red diamond card, for 12 cards of diamond, 13 cards of diamond has been covered. Or it can be red heart. So now entire my ABCD has been covered. So whenever I withdraw a single card, at least one of these events will definitely occur into my system. Agree or not? This you understood or not, this statement?
Yeah, collectively exhausted. Yeah.
Correct. Now but this is only single point. If both of these points will occur, then only it is collectively exhaustive. Now, can you map it to this particular sentence? The set of events cover the entire sample space.
Okay, by the card which I take, which is an ace, which is a black card, which can be diamond or it can be heart. So that means I've covered the entire space.
Black cards plus diamond plus hearts is a collectively exhaustive, which completes the entire.
No, it cannot be diamond and heart, right? It can be either diamond or heart.
No.
Surendra.
Yes. Somebody wants to say? Yes.
Yeah, Surendra here.
Yeah, Surendra, tell me.
So for mutually exclusive, it can be only heart or diamond. It cannot be both, right?
Right. So first discuss about collectively exhaustive.
So for collectively exhaustive, I can take an ace card and a black card. So either of one has occurred already.
Okay.
So I cannot have diamond and heart both in the same sample. So I will select either diamond or heart.
See, you have to see these 2 points of definition and you have to map it. Both these should be true. One of the event must occur. Now, randomly I am withdrawing any of the card from the deck of cards. Suppose Utkarsh has withdrawn a card from a deck of card. Now, whatever card I have withdrawn, is it coming under any of these events? Whatever card I have withdrawn. Let's not discuss.
Yes.
Correct? So, that is one thing. Now the set of event covers the entire sample space. This can you explain me?
The second card which we draw will form a set of events with 2 events which will cover both the cases, right?
Which events?
The first event in the first event may be ace with black cards and diamonds. The second event will be ace with black cards and hearts, so that it covers the entire sample space.
Okay, it is very simple. I'll tell you. Okay.
Black can be diamond or can be the other one.
Okay, I'll tell you. A is equal to aces. B is equal to black cards. C is equal to your diamonds. And D is equal to your hearts. Okay. Now, first point, leave it. Now, second point, that your given event should cover entire sample space. How many cards are here? Unique.
4.
How many cards are there unique?
26.
How many cards are there unique?
13.
Here?
13.
13. Red heart. Now, is my events covering the entire sample space of 52 cards?
Yes.
So am I able to get all 52 cards by using these 4 particular events? Yes.
Yes.
Right? If I will remove this, then also I am able to give the entire sample space?
Yes.
Okay. So that is what it is a event A, B, C and D are collectively exhaustive events, because whenever you will withdraw a card, one of the event given will always occur, and second is the set of events cover the entire sample space, but they are not mutually exclusive. Now, why they are not mutually exclusive? Definition of mutually exclusive is that events that cannot occur together. Why they are not mutually exclusive? Event A, B, C, D.
Because if you pick any of the card, the even if event is, SSs are not there, it will fulfill like B, C, D will make the complete set.
So
No, is it because C and D cannot occur together?
yes. So C and D cannot occur together. If you will withdraw a black card, then C and D cannot occur together. So basically, mutually exclusive is the events that cannot occur together. Okay.
So you can have either a black card with diamond or black card with heart, right?
No, not with anything. Simple. Only one card you are withdrawing.
Okay.
Why you are merging A with B and A with C? Now if you are withdrawing a ace, now it can be from black cards, it can be from diamond, it can be from spade, it can be from another thing, but that conditions are not given here. He is just asking you to withdraw ace. Now he doesn't care about spade or diamond or black card or red heart. If event B is occurring, then event B is only worrying about black card. If it is an ace, if it is an king, if it is an J or it is a queen, we don't care about it. But suppose if it is given here B is equal to queen, then we have to look for queen. Then we cannot go for black cards. Okay. So that's how. So event B, C and D are collectively exhaustive and also mutually exclusive. How?
Because they don't matter. Over here it doesn't matter. I can withdraw an ace which can be black or red, which can be diamond or heart, anything, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, wrong answer, but I'll tell you. So B, C and D are collectively exhaustive. So see just B, C and D. What is the definition? One of the event must occur. So suppose Utkarsh has again withdrawn a card. Is there any possibility that one of these events will not occur?
Black cards does not have diamond and heart, right? Those are red cards.
So suppose the card which I have withdrawn, it is from spade. Then my condition is failing, right?
Yes.
Everybody agree?
Yes, correct.
So what is the color of spade card?
Red.
Say red.
Spade is black.
Black. Yeah.
Spade is black card. So black
No,
card,
is,
I'm black.
Can we say red, which doesn't occur at all?
Tell me that example.
Okay, I'm removing a card which is of 7.
So 7, suppose
7 spade black, 7 spade red.
Spade is not red. Spade will be always black.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Got it, got it.
So that is why it is a priori type problem. Otherwise, process we know you cannot change it, right? So B, C and D are collectively exhaustive and also mutually exclusive because all the events cannot occur together. Now B, C and D cannot occur together. Can you explain me how?
Because black cards does not have diamond and heart cards.
So suppose I have withdrawn a card and that is a red color card.
Of hearts, not a diamond.
So red card will be always belonging either from diamonds or hearts, but never be from black card. So basically mutually exclusive events. So you will forget this definition tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So you have to write this definition into your notes, memorize these definitions and understand this particular example. Okay, because what will happen one week later you will forget what is mutually exclusive events and what is collectively exhaustive events. So remember these definitions or watch the video again. Okay, so now some example how to compute the joint probabilities and marginal probabilities. So joint probability, as we discussed, it is represented by AND function. Okay, probability of A and event B. So let's see how we can calculate. So probability of red and ace. So directly also you can calculate 2 by 52 or you can create a contingency table as well. Okay, so we know how many red cards are there and which are ace, only 2. One is from diamond, one is from heart. So 2 by 52 directly you can calculate. It is an example of joint probability. So why we call it as joint probability? Why not non-joint probability, unjoint probability?
It's because we can have a red ace over here. So that's two things which we can say.
Yes. So whenever more than one characteristic is associated, it is a joint probability. Now, okay, what is the probability of ace? So probability of ace directly you can calculate 4 by 52. This guy has done what? It has split it into this probability of ace and red plus probability of ace and black. So 2 by 52, 2 by 52, 4 by 52. So they have splitted it, but directly also can be calculated via the contingency table. It can be calculated. So contingency table is represented via this graph: event A1, A2, event B1, B2. So probability of event A1 and B1, probability of event A1 and B2, probability of event A2 and B1, and this is the total. So total of these two probabilities you will be seeing here into the marginal column, and it should be matching with this and this. in ideal conditions. So these are called as joint probabilities, and these are called as marginal probability. So marginal probability is basically probability of event A, probability of event A2, probability of event B1 and B2 separately. So that is a representation of your contingency table in terms of designations. Okay. So probability is the numerical measure of the likelihood that an event will occur. It always lies between 0 and 1, and if similarly we have discussed into the dice, when you have 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6, it will always be equal to 1. So some numerical we will see. So general addition rule, probability of A or B is equal to probability of A plus P, or probability of B minus probability of A and B. If A and B are mutually exclusive, then PA and B will be 0. So your final formula will be P of A plus P of PB. So you have to find out if your events are mutually exclusive or not. If your events are mutually exclusive, then you have to make PA and B is equal to 0. So let's see an example for this. Find the probability of selecting a male or a statistics student from the population described in the following table. Can you calculate from the above formula? Okay, first of all, tell me, is it a mutually exclusive event, or if it is a not a non-mutual exclusive event?
Mutually exclusive.
Why?
Non-mutual.
Mutual or non?
Either of one of the things will
It's not
definitely
mutual
happen.
because I mean any of the two cases can happen. And
see, if I'll withdraw a person,
it can
there is a
simultaneously, right?
correct.
So
it can occur simultaneously, so it will not be 0. It is a it is not a mutually exclusive event. Okay, non-mutual event. Okay, so now you have to consider this formula PA plus PB minus PA and B. So can you calculate the probability for selecting a male or a statistics student? So you have to find out probability of A, probability of B, and probability of A and B.
We do it in the other way, where we can do 84 divided by 439.
Okay.
So is that the right way to do it?
Yes, you have to find out probability of A and event B. For example, probability, what is event A? Event A is selecting a male. You have to check how many total number of males are there divided by total. Then probability of selecting a statistics student. You have to see how many total number of statistics students are available divided by total students. And then probability of A and B, you have to subtract. So probability of A and B is basically the people who are male and as well as from statistics. So we will discuss why we do that in numerical.
0.69.
This is how you have done.
I used decimal.
Just correct it out. Okay, fine, no problem. But you have done like this.
It's correct.
Otherwise, correct. So correct it if you have done in a wrong way. So probability of male or stats is probability of male, probability of statistics, 229 by 439 plus 1 by 60 divided by 439. Now we are subtracting the probability of the students who are male and are from statistics. Why we are doing this? Can you think and can you tell?
It's mutually non-mutual, right? So,
but why the formula is having minus sign?
Because it is already calculated in that.
It's a complement one.
No, the formula is having minus sign because we are taking, the data is taken only for taking stats people.
It's like a
right.
union.
Almost right. I'll tell you what is happening. What is happening? You have taken the probability of male already and probability of statistics students already. Now when you are calculating this M and S, so what will happen? Probability of males and as well as from statistics. So basically this value already you have separately calculated, again coming back into the system. So you are subtracting from the overall and you are giving 300 by 5 by 439. So that is how, that is why we are doing the subtraction here. And theoretical ways, basically it is a non-mutually exclusive event. So that is why we are doing the subtraction. Otherwise it will be 0. This term will be 0.
Utkarsh, I have a question over here. Now for the same question, same diagram, everything same. Instead of doing 229 divided by 437 and all these steps, can't we get the answer directly by 84 divided by 439? Won't that tell how many people are taking stats? The male count only I'm talking about.
So, but I want to find out male or statistics. It can be male or it can be statistic. If what you are telling, that is only if I want to only identify probability of selecting a male, then it is true.
Okay, fine. In this case,
but here I want, so what I want in my class, whenever I select a student, either he should be a male or belonging from a Java background. So both the conditions are there. So when you will say only selecting 84 by 439, then you are saying I am only looking for a probability of selecting a male. That's all.
Okay.
But
so
I
now,
want male or either he should be from a Java. Now she can be a female also, but she should be from Java background.
Okay, fine. So now if your condition is not a male or female, why can't we finish the equation or the formula with 160 itself? Say like why are we taking 84 into consideration in this case? When we can take 84
because these are non-mutual, because these are non-mutual events, because both the events can occur together. So we have to subtract that probability of joint probability. You have to subtract from the OR probability. My question is either male or statistics. Now joint event can also occur. So that joint event probability I am subtracting.
So when it is, I'm so sorry, like I'm just getting a little confused over here. When it is a joint probability and I do not care whether it is a male or female, so my calculation should be on the total.
This is not a joint probability. This is OR condition. This is OR condition. Okay. Your numerical is saying OR. It is not saying AND. It is saying either you select a male or a statistics. If it will say you select a person who is male and statistics, then whole numerical will change. It is not AND problem. It is a OR problem. Okay.
So Utkarsh, in that case, if it is a male and statistician,
then 84 divided by 44.
Yeah.
Simple. But because this is a OR problem, so we have to subtract this AND probability. Getting now fundamental why we are subtracting this value? Because problem is for OR. We need either a stats or a male. So joint probability, because in male or statistics overall probability has been already captured. So this AND part we are removing it by subtraction.
Hi, Utkarsh. So
yes.
I mean, like for the end part, so basically we are removing it because of the either or condition. But if the problem comes like, I mean, male or statistics or both, in that case we need not subtract it.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So this is one example. Now another example is now conditional probabilities. So conditional probability of one event that is basically given event A will occur given that event B occurred. So for example, I'll just give you some simple example. The conditional probability of A given that B has occurred. So conditional probabilities are basically which depends on a condition of some particular previous event. So simple example would be here. Okay, so Utkarsh will go for playing football if there will be no rain today, if this will be a sunny day. Okay, so now here two conditions are there. First of all, probability you have to calculate what is the probability that Utkarsh will go for playing today, and this probability will be depending on to the probability of that this is a sunny day. So now if it is a sunny day, then the probability of Utkarsh going for playing football is 100%. But if it is a rainy day, then probability of Utkarsh going for football will be 0. Okay, so this is called as conditional event. So A given B. So what is the probability of event A given that event B occurred? Okay, formula is P A and B divided by PB, or if your B is coming here, then divided by PA. Denominator basically you have to divide. So let's see and let's try to solve this from the numerical point of view. You have to solve it, guys. Of the cars on a used car lot, 70% have air condition and 40% have a CD player. 20% of the cars have both. What is the probability that a car has a CD player given that it has AC? So you have to find out the probability of CD player in a car given that it has AC. So can you do this calculation? Let me know if you want to see the formulas. I'll show you the formula.
Utkarsh, can you scroll down to the formula, please? Okay, thanks.
It's about 0.29.
Yeah,
I think
20
right.
by 70. Yeah.
Let everyone do that, and then we'll go. Everybody is done?
Utkarsh, is it 28%?
Okay, I think
20
yes,
by
nearby.
70. Yeah.
Yes, 28%. Yes.
Yeah, 20 by 70.
Yes. So via the contingency table also you can solve it, but I really don't like contingency table because unnecessarily we have to draw this much. So okay, so this is how you can compute the conditional probabilities. Okay, you always remember the so whenever any numerical is coming to you, you have to find out is it belonging to conditional probability or joint probability or marginal probability. It is or problem and problem. Sometimes you will get simple problems, at least, exactly, at most. So multiple types of problems are available into the probability area. So again, similar problem can be splitted via the tree method. So you see it at home. No need to discuss this method. Now another example, another definition is statistical independent. So independent event. So two events are independent if and only if PA given B is equal to PA. So event A and B are independent when the probability of one event is not affected by the other event. So what it is saying, when the probability of one event is not affecting the probability of another event, then it is called as independent event. Can you give me an example for independent event? Any example you can think of?
Tossing the coin.
Or the dice, if you throw the dice, yeah, or the coin.
But then what is the event A in throwing the dice?
Like if you get the heads on the first...
no, there is only one event. Tossing a coin is event. Okay. So tossing a coin, you are doing the process and event will occur heads or what. A or B you have to define separately. So basically which number will come into a dice is a single event only. Either of a number will come. So two events, I'll tell you, A and B are independent events. So for example, event A is basically Utkarsh is coming to class at LearnBay, and event B is students or suppose Irfan is coming to class is event B. Okay, so tell me, my probability of coming to class will be affected by the probability of Irfan coming to class or not?
No.
Or vice versa is true. So suppose probability of Irfan coming to the class is affected by the probability of I am coming to the class or not? Can you now make out the relationship and can you explain statistical independent?
Because is taking the class, then Irfan might be attend the class.
Yes, so that is a independent event or dependent event?
Dependent event.
This is a dependent event, right? Now what happens, if Utkarsh will come to the class, then Irfan will come to the class. If Utkarsh will not come to the class, then Irfan will also not come to the class, right? So this is a dependent event. So event A is Utkarsh coming to class, event B is Irfan coming to class. So now Utkarsh has dropped a message on WhatsApp that I will not be taking a class today. Now what will happen? Irfan will also not come to the class, right? Now second scenario, Irfan has dropped a message onto WhatsApp that I will not be joining the class today. Will I be closing the class if Irfan is not coming to the class? No. So probability of Utkarsh taking the class is not depending on to the probability of Irfan is coming to the class. So probability of event A is equal to probability of A only, A given B. So what is happening? These kind of events are called as independent events. So probability of B given A is equal to P of B when vice versa condition will achieve. Did you get that? What is independent event? Any example you can give now? Independent event?
So Utkarsh, as I said in the above example, like event A will be tossing the coin.
Okay.
And event B will be rolling the dice.
Correct.
So my tossing the coin will not affect the rolling the dice and vice versa.
Vice versa. So both the events are independent events. Okay, right. So that is what. So where your events are not affecting to each other, those events are independent event. So this is very short. You have given the difference like, okay, rolling the dice and tossing a coin, but somewhat dependency based event I have given you, that I am coming to class or Irfan coming to class. So that kind of things you can explain into an interview. If somebody asks you what is independent event, so you can explain, okay, I am coming for interview, you are coming for interview. That kind of scenario you can take it up. So looks good. So for example, interviewer is coming for taking an interview. This probability doesn't depend either I will come or not. You will anyways come, it is your office, but yes, I will come when you will come only. So that kind of things you can discuss and you can tell. So another kind of events are probability calculation is multiplication rules. So P A and B is equal to P A given B into PB. If A and B are independent, then probability of A and B is equal to PA into PB. So let's try to understand again this with an example. Suppose a city council is composed of 5 Democrats, 4 Republicans and 3 independents. Find the probability of randomly selecting a Democrat followed by an independent. So basically you have to select the independent, probability of a Democrat followed by an independent. So probability of I and D you have to calculate. So formula is basically A and B is P of A given B into PB. So probability of independent given the Democrats into PD. So now here this is a tricky question. Now what is happening? What is the probability of independence? How we have calculated 3 by 11?
The total outcome is 11 and we have only 3 independents.
Okay, your total outcome is 12. 5 plus 3 plus 4. So 5 plus
because,
4, 9, 9 plus 3, 12.
Given the Democrats. Yeah.
Find the probability randomly selecting a Democrat followed by an independent. So first thing what you have to do, you have to select a Democrat. Okay. So when I will select a Democrat, how many people are available right now with me when I'm selecting first Democrat?
12.
So,
total how many? 12 people.
12.
So 5 by 12. So there is a probability out of 12, 5 people you can select. So basically one Democrat has been selected. Now if one Democrat has been selected, then how many are left?
11.
11. So now 3 by 11. So selecting a Democrat followed by an independent. So first you have to select a Democrat and then you have to select the independent. So this is somewhat tricky kind of question. Generally these kind of questions we doesn't do into analytics industry also and in probability also, but I have just taken this example because I found it a unique kind of problem. So to be discussed. So that kind of calculation can also come.
Do we have in the e-commerce platform, do we have like a people who has bought laptop and a charger? There is also probability that they can buy laptop cover or something like that.
Yes, yes. So basically that is very simple probabilistic calculation. I'll just give you some heads of what happens into that kind of case. So basically 2 types of things are there. One is called as collaborative filtering. Okay, this is generally not basically related to probability, but somewhat different. So I'll tell you simply. Simple example I will take. For example, I will take an example of YouTube. Okay, so YouTube example is basically, suppose what YouTube do, YouTube does collaborative filtering. So what is collaborative filtering? Suppose Okay, I remember this. Now we will take Girish. So suppose Girish is watching Artist 1 movie. Okay, Artist 1 is Salman Khan. Okay, now Girish is watching Artist 1 movie. So now I'm maintaining a database. So Girish is a new customer to YouTube. Okay, so he's a very new customer and we doesn't have data about Girish that search and all that, like what kind of data he's searching and what kind of movies he's seeing. So what we will do, we will go into the database of Google or YouTube. In our data set, we will find out who all customers are available who has already watched same artist movie which Girish is watching. So now what is happening, we found out customer 1 has watched Salman, this customer has watched Salman, so this customer has watched Amir Khan, or this customer has watched Amir, or this is something Tom Hanks. Okay, now I got these two customers has watched into the past. Suppose these two customers are Irfan and suppose Surendra. Okay, now I have all the historical data available from Irfan and Surendra search that they watches this Artist 1 movie, Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, and they also watches the movie of Akshay Kumar. This guy also watches the movie of Shah Rukh Khan and Akshay Kumar. Now what recommendation will come to you, to Girish, that you may also like Shah Rukh and Akshay Kumar movies, because the interest what you are having matching interest with Irfan and Surendra. So this is called as collaborative filtering. So again, what happens in a bigger picture, if you will go, so then there is a probability calculation. Now there will be, suppose another customer, if this customer is watching again Shah Rukh Khan movie, and then this customer is watching Amir Khan and Salman Khan. Then what will happen? It will calculate the probabilities. So out of total people who have watched Salman Khan movies, how many are watching Shah Rukh Khan? So and how many are watching Akshay Kumar? So you got 2/5 probability for Shah Rukh Khan and you got 1/5 for Akshay. Then this particular artist will be recommended to you. So this is where probabilities will play a role. It is very simple calculation of probability from the total how many times it is hitting. So that is how filtering happens into that case.
We can also say that this is a subjective probability, right?
This is not a subjective, this is an empirical, because I have the data available for you. So this is based on your search, right? So you have actually watched these people.
Okay, so data is already available with us.
Yes. So subjective when it will become, if somebody is asking, okay, what do you think, what kind of movies Utkarsh will like? So, okay, Utkarsh may probably like Amir Khan's movie or Shah Rukh Khan movie. That is subjective. But when you have a data available for me, you will go into the data and you will say, in last 1 year, Utkarsh has watched only Akshay Kumar's movies. So that means I have data available, then that is a evidence. So that is not a subjective. Then that will become empirical. Right?
Thanks.
Okay. So that is one thing. Okay, this is same thing. Now another important algorithm is Bayes theorem. So Bayes theorem is, okay, this is last. After this I will stop. I will just give you a break. I'll give you a, means we will exit the class after this. So we'll discuss tomorrow. Last thing. So Bayes theorem is basically a extension of your conditional probability. So what happens? Bayes theorem is very important theorem, and again you have one classifier based on Bayes theorem. So there again we will discuss the Bayes theorem in detail. So Bayes theorem is basically probability of B given A is equal to probability of A given B into PB, just opposite of what is given into this formula. You have to implement here. It is a trick. Probability of A given B1 into PB1 plus PA given B2 into PB2, similarly PA into BK into PBK. So BI is the event of K mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive events. A is new event that might impact PB1. So this formula we will try to understand with an example. Okay, so how Bayes theorem will help you to solve the problems of conditional probability. A drilling company has estimated a 40% chance of striking oil for their new well. A detailed test has been scheduled for more information. Historically, 60% of successful wells have had detailed test and 20% of unsuccessful wells have had detailed test. Given that this well has been scheduled for a detailed test, what is the probability that the well will be successful? So let's see how they are solving this problem. Let S is equal to successful well, U is equal to unsuccessful well. So probability of successful well is 40%. A drilling company has estimated a 40% chance of striking oil for their new well. So 40% is the probability of success. Probability of unsuccess is 1 minus 0.4, 60%. If success rate is 40, then unsuccess is 60%. Now define the detailed test event as D. So conditional probabilities, probability of detailed test given a successful well. So the historically 60% of the successful wells have had detailed test. So what it is giving, 60% of the wells which are successful are having detailed test. So, and 20% of the unsuccessful wells have detailed tests. So then probably 20% of the unsuccessful wells had detailed test. You have to find what is the probability if that well is scheduled for a detailed test, it will be a successful well. So you have to find out the probability when it is scheduled for detailed test, what is the probability of success. So you know PS upon D, you have to just run this formula, PS upon D into P D upon S into PS divided by PD upon S into PS plus PD by U into PU. Unsuccessful well, success probability and unsuccess probability. Put all the probabilities, 66% is the probability that this well will be successful. So this is another type of problem which comes under Bayes theorem. Okay, so you don't have to go deeper into these areas. Again, I'm saying because there is a vast area if you will go for understanding. Whatever we discuss into the slides, that is more than enough. Don't try to go beyond this. Again, this is how Bayes theorem problems can be solved. Now, okay.
Utkarsh, also the email spam classifier works on the Bayes theorem too, right?
Yes, right. It works on the Bayes theorem. So now in case of data sets, Bayes theorem works in a different way, which I'll be explaining you when we will go into the machine learning classes. So, but spam filtering happens via the Bayes theorem itself. Okay. Can be done via other algorithms also, but Bayes theorem is the most used. So review questions. So if you toss a die, what is the probability that you will roll a 3 or less?
B. B, 1 by 3.
1 by 3.
1 by 2.
No, 1 by 2. C.
1 by 2.
How you have calculated 1 by 2?
2 by 6.
Because
so 3 by 6.
It is at least 3. So at most 3.
1 by 6 plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6.
B or less.
1, 2,
So
3. So
how much you are saying? 1 by 2 is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Now
how is that, Utkarsh? Like 1 by 2?
They explained. How you have explained? Can somebody explain it?
Yeah,
Probability of coming 1 plus probability of coming 2 plus probability of coming 3.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
first
1 by 3 plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6.
Right. So
3 by 6 total.
Okay, I'll just draw it here. So what is the probability? 1 by 6, 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 1 by 6. Now your numerical is probability of x less than equal to 3. Then it will be probability of x is equal to 1 plus probability of x is equal to 2 plus probability of x is equal to 3. So 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6 is how much?
1 by 2.
1 by 2. It is 1. It will be something 3 by 6 and right, 3 by 6, right?
Yeah, 3 by 6. Yeah.
Okay. So another, if you toss a die, if 2 dices are rolled and the sum of the face value is 6, what is the probability that at least one of the dice came up as 3? Anyone?
1 by 2.
1 by 2. Okay, let's check. Okay, can you help me find out what all conditions when total sum value, face value will come as 6?
3 plus 3, 4 plus 2, 5 plus
3,
1.
3 and 5, 1, 1, 5.
4,
4, 2, 2, 4. Okay.
5
Now, so what is the probability that at least one of the dice came up as 3?
1 by 5.
1 by
5.
1 by 5 is the answer.
Yeah.
Got it? How we have done it?
Yes.
So 1 by 5 and okay. So these are 2 review questions I had for you. So I have to discuss more probabilistic numerical, which we will discuss now tomorrow. Today, that much is enough. Lot of definitions we have discussed. We'll discuss remaining part tomorrow. Any questions?